goes back to 1432 to Oxford University, when, as part of graduation exercises, the graduates each had to give a sermon in Latin at a thing called Baccalaureate. So my first three speakers speaking in Latin are right behind me, and you guys probably need to get working on what you're going to say. No, that's okay. We'll let you speak in English today. Just kidding. Baccalaureate, translated, means a sermon to the graduates, and the tradition of baccalaureate left Europe and came to America, and we jumped on it at the collegiate level, and eventually baccalaureate worked down into the high school experience as well. In recent years, it's been separated out of the high school experience, but baccalaureate is really just a chance for the community to say to you guys as you get to the end of the road, we're so delighted in what you've done and what you've accomplished. And we want to start this celebration season. You're going to have a graduation exercise eventually. You're going to have graduation parties. You're going to celebrate in person, in homes. But we want to celebrate with you as a community, and that's what we're deciding to do today. It presents us with an opportunity as well to give you a sermon to the graduates, a challenge to the graduates. So if you graduated from high school a long time ago, like I did, you're allowed to listen in. But this morning we're going to honor our graduates. 2014, is this on? Let's try it again. Class of 2014, is it getting better? No?
We can hear.
Try it a different way. I'll go up there. Class of 2014, I don't know you guys at all very well. I know Jackie a little bit, and I've seen some of your faces, but I don't really know you guys, and you don't know me. I'm here on the weekends. I pastor on the weekends. During the week, I'm a teacher. I'm a senior English teacher down at Covington Presbyterian, and
Greg, we got you now.
And I appreciate your flow. Oh, that's nice. Can you make the voice a little more bass resonant? That's not possible, is it? I teach at Dayton Christian. I teach English at Dayton Christian, and for the last 23 years, I've had all the seniors. So I get to walk in your world through my students all the time. And at this point in senior year for my students, they have about as many days as you guys have left. And graduation party season actually opens for us today at 2 o'clock, the first graduation party. I think that's a little early. I think we should get a little closer to like exams and maybe pass them before, but the graduate sadness party today, he's going to be fine. I find myself, and I know other people do it to people like you, we tend to ask you guys a real pressure, intense question that's really just born out of curiosity. So what are you going to do? Now that you are 11 days, 12 days, 13 days, how many days do we have? Are you guys counting? I know you're counting. 8 days. 8 days. Yes. Class president knows it's 8 days. You're 8 days from the end. Maybe then some exams, but so what are you going to do when you grow up? What are you going to do with your life? High school's almost over. What are you going to do? We ask that question. And it's a pressure-filled question if you've thought about it at all. I'm going to guess, I'm smart like this, I'm going to guess you're going to Bluffton University. Yeah, he's got a shirt on. MSJ, Mount St. Joseph like that, right? But you're going to play football too, right? Yeah? See, I'm smart that. The question is an honest question for you guys as you make this, as you commence. As you end high school and head out into the adult world. But the question, if you think about it, has a lot of pressure behind it. Okay, let's do a little survey. Seniors, how many of you are going on to a 4-year school? Can I see your hands? Okay. Are you a senior as well? Okay. What are you going to do? You're the only one that didn't raise your hand. You know what you're going to do? Yeah, tell me. Does that require schooling? How many years? 2 years school. Check this out, gang. No pressure intended by this. You do understand that the average price of a 4-year education in America right now is $25,000 a year. That means over the next 4 years, $100,000 are going to be invested in you and in your future. That's roughly the price of a house. And adults are smart enough, we spread payments out over 30 years when we're buying a house, but we're pouring 30 years of mortgage into you into the next 4 years. And for you, hey, your amount's half of that, $50,000. You say, oh yeah, maybe college isn't the path for me. Maybe I could convince the military to pay for this for me. You know, you enlist. A lot of kids do that. They enlist to get a GI Bill. I just have 3 words for you. Vladimir Putin, Ukraine. If you want to go back a few months, we can change the 3 words. Afghanistan, Iraq, Yemen. You go back a few more years, we just changed the words. The reality is, if you decide to get college paid for, or you just go the route of military, the pressure is, we're potentially asking you to make the sacrifice that we call the greatest sacrifice, your life, on the battlefield. Skip college. Forget college. That's too expensive. Forget the military. The price tag might be too high. How about this one? Just go straight into the workforce. A lot of people do that. Graduate from high school, they have a credential, they have a diploma, they go straight to the workforce. Well, okay, that's great. I love my job. I've been doing my job for 23 years. I am enjoying my career so much. 23 years. The average American has to work 40 to 50 years at the same job before they retire. So I hope you like that job you get when you're 18 years old. See, we don't mean the question, hey, what are you going to do with your life? What's up for you now that you're a high school graduate? We don't mean it to be a pressure-filled question. But for an 18-year-old to be able to answer the question, what are you going to do with your life? That's a pretty pressure-filled question. And one of my desires today in this baccalaureate sermon is to take some of the pressure off. There's a New Testament writer. We don't even know what his name was. We know the name of every single New Testament writer except for one, and it's the guy who penned the book of Hebrews. If you have a Bible, Hebrews chapter 12 is where I'm going to go. There are a couple of sentences that are really powerful, and I think for you guys, 18 years old, 8 school days from the end, ready to launch out into the adult world through college, all of you guys, or your bigger class, probably some military or some vocation. I think these couple of verses take a lot of the pressure off. Now, in my classroom, since I'm an English teacher, what we do day after day in my English class is we attack ancient texts, the texts of Tennyson, the texts of Milton, the texts of the great writers of the British era, and we look at them and we pull them apart piece by piece. Let me read to you just a few sentences. Hebrews chapter 12, verses 1 through 3. Verse 3 was actually in our call to worship. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. Let us fix our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy set before him endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. You know what, when you really start pulling that apart and you say, okay, is there anything here for the graduating class of 2014 and anybody else that's listening in on our conversation? Is there anything there? Yeah, absolutely. It starts with this. Therefore, since you're surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, Miami County in Ohio has a way of putting together some athletic teams that are really commendable. And multiple guys in this small group are athletes. And it gives you the capacity, the framework to understand what this writer is talking about. We're surrounded by a cloud of witnesses. Yeah. Like Jackie, in a few weeks you're going to run in the state meet.
Hopefully.
Oh, no, you're going to run in the state meet. Jackie had a killer record-breaking best in the state of Ohio time the other day, 300 hurdles, right? And so she's going to be running in the state meet. And a couple of you guys are football players. You guys know what it feels like to have a stadium full of people. And Jackie, you're going to experience this. You're going to be running the 300 hurdles in the state finals, and the entire stadium is going to be screaming and cheering. And you won't know if they're cheering for you or for your opponent. It doesn't matter. They're cheering for victory. You guys just got a glimpse through athletics of what it feels like to have a great crowd of witnesses. I want you to think for a minute over your last 4 years in high school, over your last 13 years from kindergarten all the way through. Who are the faces that are in your great cloud of witnesses? You got grandparents. You got parents. And grandparents and parents, they're great. Mom, I need this new set of running shoes. I mean, they make me faster. Yeah, well, okay, well, let's go start and get them. The great cloud of witnesses, the people that have provided for you in things and in support. Those nights when the academics got a little crazy for you and you just thought, I can't get this chemistry stuff. And Mom and Dad came in and said, look, it's been a long time, but let me help, let me quiz you. Great cloud of witnesses in your parents and grandparents. But it's bigger than that. Great cloud of witnesses in your friends, your family, your teachers, who would go over it yet again to help you get it, even though they had gone over it multiple times and used all the technology to help you get it. They still went over it because they're part of your great cloud of witnesses. And then watch this one. This one I think is really cool, and I think we understate this in our modern world. How many of you guys that are with us this morning, seniors, go to this church? This is your home church. Can I see your hands? Let the record reflect there's not a hand in the audience at all. Not one of these kids. Do you know what we represent for you? We are part of your cloud of witnesses. We are cheering you on. We are encouraging you. We are saying, oh my goodness, you guys have so much potential. We can't wait to see what you do. And we become part of this cloud of witnesses. So the writer of Hebrews, he goes, therefore, since you guys are surrounded by this great cloud of witnesses, you need to get on it and do it. Well, it doesn't stop there. He says, therefore, you're surrounded by this great cloud of witnesses. And then he gives a little bit of advice, and it's really good advice. He says, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles. Oh, a couple of things there. Let us throw off everything that hinders. So all you guys know what you want to be when you grow up. Congratulations. If you are statistically average, you aren't going to be what you think you're going to be right now. Let me tell you my story. I knew in between my sophomore and junior year in high school what I wanted to be when I grew up. I was focused. I was one of the lucky ones. I knew what I was going to be. I got to college, and before midterms of first semester, I went, well, you know, I mean, the world of knowledge is so broad, and I'm being exposed to things now that's like, wow, I didn't know that was a possibility. So I went to my advisor and I said, can I change my major? Change number one. Midway through second semester, I had refined my vision, and I changed it again. At the end of third semester, I was so lost that I knew what I didn't want to do, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. And so after 3 semesters, I dropped out because I had changed the third time. You're saying, Craig, you needed counseling. Well, that might be true. But guess what? I'm statistically average. 70% of college graduates change their major at least once. 70%. You can be confident in what you think you want to be right now, but life's going to get bigger for you. You're going to be exposed to things you probably change. Relax. More than 50% are just like me. They change their major at least 3 times. And then you want me to really tell you the truth? Only 50% end up working in the career for which they were trained. So when we ask you this question, hey, what are you going to be when you grow up? If you're doubtful at all, don't worry about it. You're statistically average. The text said you're surrounded by this cloud of witnesses. Throw off everything that will entangle you. Okay, so I have a suggestion. This is probably the one thing I want you to leave with today. Don't try so much right now, at this stage in your life, to identify what you want to be. Try to identify who you want to be. Don't go for the what you want to be, go for the who you want to be. Here's what I mean by that. So you want to be a teacher. You want to be a doctor. You want to be a sales rep. You want to be an electrician. Whatever it is, put that aside. Who do you want to be? At the end of 4 years, who do you want to be? Do you want to be a person of integrity? Identify that as your goal. You want to be a person of loyalty? Identify that as your goal. You want to be a person who doesn't, after 4 years of college, have any skeletons in your closet? Go after that goal. You identify who you want to be first. And then if you change your major a few times, who cares? It doesn't change who you are. It just changes what you are when you change your major. I got to meet this great guy a couple years ago, about 3 years ago, a guy named Nate Carr. Nate Carr was 1988 bronze medal wrestler for the United States. And he enrolled his kids at Dayton Christian, and I got to know him, and I had him speak at an event to my senior class. And he said this: you have to identify who you want to be. That's the number one choice. You identify who you want to be. And as soon as you say yes to who you want to be, saying yes to who you want to be will force you to say no to anything that is a distraction to who you want to be. That's powerful. So don't worry about it if you get halfway through first semester and you go, oh no, my dream is starting to fade. I'm becoming statistically average. I don't know if I want to be that anymore. Who cares? You identify who you want to be, and you're still aiming for who you want to be. But then the writer of Hebrews 12, he said, look, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles. There is an elephant in the room. You guys know that expression? There's an elephant in the room? It's an old expression, and it means this. There is this big, fat elephant in the room, and everybody can see it, but nobody's going to talk about it. I'm the kind of guy that wants to talk about the elephant in the room. Can I tell you what the cloud of witnesses is scared of for you guys as graduates of the class of 2014? Do you want me to just call out the elephant in the room? The elephant in the room to the cloud of witnesses is this. There are a lot of destructive forces in our world. And in the modern world, they are very available to the class of 2014. And we are scared to death that you aren't going to be able to resist the temptations. And that those temptations will become realities, and those realities will destroy you. That's the elephant. There's a funny thing in American culture. In the last 20 years, we've expected you to fail, and so we just kind of shrug our shoulders and say, well, that's part of the college experience. And so we expect you to fail at these. Like, for instance, University of Dayton. Great run in the NCAA. Sorry, Buckeye fans. It has to happen every once in a while. Great run in the NCAA. And the temptations of victory and success brings out riot force police on our local college campus. And you know what the reaction of culture is? College kids. They drink too much. They get a little too wild. Really? So we expect you to fail, so we just shrug our shoulders and say, well, you're going to be drunks anyway, and you're going to be high half the time anyway. Why? Because that's part of the college experience. I'm sorry. That's the elephant in the room. Drugs and alcohol can really mess up your life in a pretty aggressive way. And one of the elephants in the room is we're terrified that when we send you out away from the protective care, that those temptations are going to wipe you out. How about this one? Man, it used to be if you wanted to be a pervert, you had to figure out how to get a Playboy. And you had to just hide it under your mattress. Now, if you have a cell phone, then you already have it. It's there. Because of the great technology of the internet, man, we have so much temptation sexually for you guys. And then, can we talk about Hollywood for a minute? How many of our Hollywood stars that we honor, that we love, that we give awards, that we give little statues, we elevate them, and guess what? They're engaged, and their 2-year-old son is going to be at their wedding. And it's like, what happened to first comes love, then comes marriage, then comes maybe knowing the father of your child. But we've given up in American culture. And casual sex has become the norm for the college experience. Did you guys see the vice president this week talking about 20% of all women on a college campus are going to be sexually assaulted? And they don't even really know the statistic. The elephant in the room is there are a lot of temptations out there, and they are the kind of temptations that can take you down and destroy your future. And we're really nervous that you're not going to be able to handle it. Can I tell you the other side of the truth of your cloud of witnesses? I believe you guys are better than that. I believe that you can be part of a revolution that says, no, I know who I want to be. I want to be a person of integrity. I want to be a world changer. I can't change the whole world. I can only change my world. I want to be a kind of person that says, no, I don't do those things. I show restraint. You guys are better than the cultural expectation of failure in moral areas. So the writer of Hebrews, he's got some good things going here. He's going to say, you're surrounded by this cloud of witnesses. Man, identify who you want to be, not what you want to be. You throw off all the encumbrances and don't give in to failure. Let me end with this one, and I might be telling you something that you haven't heard before. I think this is really cool. At the end of this verse, it says this, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. If nobody's ever told you graduates this, I want to tell you something. Before the creation of the universe, when God was standing on nothing, he knew that eventually there would be a universe. He knew eventually there would be a Western Hemisphere. He knew eventually there would be an America. He knew there would be an Ohio. He knew there would be a Miami County. He knew there would be a you graduating in the class of 2014. And before he created it all, he went, I know there's going to be this guy and this gal, and this is going to be their name, and this is where they're going to live, and this is where they're going to graduate. And this verse says, and God marked out a path for you. A job that he needs you to get done. And your job is not her job, and your job is not his job, and his job is not your job. You each have a job marked out for you. And that job was designed by God with your name next to it. It's kind of a cool thought if you think about it. So you may know what you want to be right now, but you're going to change. Statistically, we know you're going to change. And some of you are going to go, I think I've changed my mind. I want to be a teacher. Fantastic. Because before there were even children born with these names, God got a list of people who were going to be your students later. Oh, no, I'm not going to be a teacher. I'm going into medicine. Fantastic. Because there is a patient list that you're going to hit in about 9 years. And that patient list needs you to minister to them using the skill of your college degree and the skill set God has given you. Because God marked out that patient list and has your name next to it. I'm not going into medicine. I'm not going into education. Okay. You're going to be a civil engineer. We need roads. You're going to be a salesman. Great. Fantastic. We need your product. Whatever it is that God eventually calls you to, He's got a list of people that you need to influence through that job. That's kind of a cool thought. That kind of gives your life a little bit of purpose. So we go back to that crushing. So what are you going to do with your life? What are you going to do when you grow up? What are your plans? Relax. Plans are going to change, and that's okay. Defining who you are, and remembering when the studying gets really hard, that you're surrounded by a cloud of witnesses who are cheering you on, and knowing that God Almighty, before you were even a twinkle in your daddy's eye, God Almighty came up with a list of people that you were going to influence in the future, and it's your list. Oh, that means walking across the stage and turning a tassel and accepting a diploma and going off to college or entering your career. Oh my goodness. This is something you are capable of doing. Because God has created a network that makes it possible for you to do what He's called you to do. All right, it's a little early to congratulate you on your high school graduation. But let it echo in your head. The friends and families that are at Covington Presbyterian as representatives of your community, we believe in you guys. We just can't wait to see what you're going to do with our world. And we need you to do some good things with our world. May God add His blessing to the reading and explanation of His Word and to that application into your young lives.